All right, it's time for us to start Unit 10, which is environmental changes and how it affects organisms and how organisms can affect its environment. So I have my vocabulary words that you'll set up in a separate video. And these notes will be attached. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do environmental changes. I'm going to glue this in. And we're going to take some notes, do some coloring here. So when we're talking about environmental changes, we're talking about how does the environment or where something lives, when it changes, how does it affect the organisms that live in the environment, and how do the organisms affect the environment that they live in? Okay. So while you're gluing that in, I have my flare pen, and then I also have my crayons and my colored pencils that I'm going to be using here. I have a bunch over here that I like to use, especially when I'm doing doodle notes like this. Makes it more fun. Okay, so my environment, I will color this in a few. An environment, this is a pond in nature. This picture right here. This is a little pond. Now, what happens if this little pond in nature has a road built over it? Because there's houses being developed and there has to be a place for the cars to go. So what happens to that? How does that affect the animals and the organisms living in that area? So the change is a highway is built by humans. Now, humans are living organisms. Okay. At this point, I'm going to pause. I'm going to color, and I want you to go ahead and pause and color, and then I will come back. Okay. So our environmental changes, there is my picture. And as you can see with the colors that I drew, and it's important that you do the colors like this, is that my lily pad is brown. And then I have my grass is brown. And then the water is dark. It's not just blue. And there's a bunch of, let me see, dead grass, I said. And the life, I don't see any life in there, like fish or anything. So color that, make sure that it is the same as what I have here. And then we are going to continue with our notes. Living organisms, including humans, can change our environment. How can humans change their environment? Well, first of all, we have to find out what organisms and ecosystems are. So an ecosystem is a community of living things and non-living things in their natural environment, and they live together. Okay, now the next thing is, what is an organism? This was one of our definitions when we did the human body. An organism, they're living things, including plants and animals. So an environment can be changed by living organisms, including humans. And overpopulation is one way that humans can change the environment. And overpopulation is an increase in the number of a particular organism. Which can have a direct and indirect effects on the ecosystem. So when we say direct, it means it would right away affect the, let's see, so a direct effect would be it directly affects something else, like the road directly affects the amount of space that this has. This is an overpopulation though. I'm just saying the difference between direct and indirect. An indirect effect would be the pollution that it causes, and it affects the, which in turn affects the lake. All right, so I'm going to color this. I'm going to pause it. If you would like to color, you may. If not, I'll be back in a second. All right, and we're back. So not only can humans or organisms affect an environment, but nature can affect the environment as well. Now, how would that work? There are several ways that nature could affect our environment. One of them being bacteria growth, like red tide. A drought, which means no rain in a certain area for a long period of time. Tornadoes. Hurricanes. Floods. Earthquakes. And tsunamis. Wildfires. Caused by lightning. Because a wildfire can be caused by many things. So if we're going to count a wildfire as something that's natural, it has to be caused by something that's natural. So that would be lightning. All right, so man-made changes are things that, this is how the mankind has affected their environment. By pollution, building roads, building cities, trash, chemical spills, cutting down trees. And then wildfire caused by a human, whether it's an unattended campfire or an accident or a firework. So wildfire caused by human, campfire or a firework. So those are all man-made changes. So if you think about all of these affect the environment, the animals, the plants, the people that live in that area, all of these things are ways to affect our ecosystem. So we have 3 definitions of major words that we need to know: ecosystem, organisms, and we have overpopulation. We have 2 ways that the ecosystem or the environment can change: natural ways or man-made ways. And so I'm going to go and start coloring again, and I will be back in a moment. All right, so that is my final copy there. And do you need to color it? No. But I find it fun and calming to color it as you go. And when we have color, it helps us remember things much better. So from now on, I highly suggest that you color your notes.